Hey, Nancy, no running in the hallways. Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Erschen, and this week we are doing another tag video. This one is one of mine, and it's called the Freddy Krueger Tag. Yeah, that's right, it's focusing on the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, featuring the legendary Freddy Krueger. So it's going to be 8 questions. And the first is, what is your favorite dream sequence in the Elm Street franchise? So mine personal is when Nancy is in the classroom at school and you hear that guy talking about Julius Caesar, reading the book out loud, and his voice starts getting slow and she gets sleepy, and then she sees Tina's in a body bag across from her, and she's going, Nancy, Nancy, and then bugs come out of her mouth, and then she goes down the hallway and sees that Tina's body's being dragged by an invisible person or something, and there's like a trail of blood down the hallway, and then she ends up going down into the boiler room and meeting Freddy. It's just an awesome sequence, and that's my favorite of the franchise. So next up, number 2 is, what is your favorite film in the franchise? And for me, that's definitely this one here, the original Nightmare on Elm Street. If Nancy doesn't wake up screaming, she won't wake up at all. Definitely the original classic from 1984, directed by the great Wes Craven. Amazing film. I think it's just such an original concept. The idea of a boogeyman stalking you in your dreams, you know, it was such a new thing for the slasher genre, such a great idea for a slasher character. Instead of just the random killer dude in a ski mask or something running around hacking up teenagers, this was the boogeyman that came after you in your dream. And that's just awesome, because we can all relate to that, because I'm sure all of you have had that type of dream where a wild boogeyman or a monster is chasing you around in your dream, you know, and then you wake up and you're sweating and you're scared to death, you know. So that's what's so great about it. So next up, number 3 is, do you think Elm Street 2 should have followed the events of the first film more, or do you think it just works as a standalone film? Yeah, so I'm a believer that Elm Street 2 is probably the most underrated in the franchise. I really enjoy it. This one right here. I think there's a lot of great stuff in it. I think Freddy is at his scariest, and it's a really dark film. And yeah, there is some few cringe-worthy scenes, let's be honest. I'm not going to say it's a perfect movie, but I do enjoy it. And I do think it works well as just a standalone film in the franchise. It's something unique when you want to watch something a little different. And I like that. Yeah, it could have followed up the events of the first film, but they did that in the third one. So I like it that it's something different. So next up, number 4 is, what is your favorite kill in the franchise? So my favorite death scene is Taryn in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. And I love it. It's got a great 80s feel. You see Taryn's got her punk rock leather jacket on. She got the switchblades and the spiked hair. And then he busts out Freddy busts out his syringe hands, and you see on her arm, it's like alive, like with it, because I guess she was a drug addict, a heroin addict, and all the needle holes are like alive, and he's like, he sticks both hands with syringe needles into her arms and kills her. It's pretty sick. So that's my favorite one. So number 5 is Freddy vs. Jason better as a Nightmare on Elm Street film or a Friday the 13th film? while I think both characters are well represented in the film, and I really enjoy the film, and I think Jason is handled well, I do think that it's more of a Nightmare on Elm Street film. It's more of a Freddy-based film, and the story revolves around Freddy Krueger. So that's my answer for that one. So next up, number 6 is, who is your favorite final girl in the franchise? And for me, it's a no-brainer. It's got to be Nancy Thompson, as played by the great Heather Langenkamp, who we've seen throughout the series several times. And she's always been fantastic. She's one of the most resourceful. I'd say she's probably number 3 final girl of all time, right behind Laurie Strode and Sigourney Weaver in the Alien franchise. And then Nancy Thompson is right there. What I love about her is that she didn't just cower in fear. She studied survival techniques and read books about it, and read books about how to make booby traps to set up to take them out, you know. She really fought against them. That's what I love about her. So number 7 is, what would you like to see in the next installment of the franchise? So I would really love to see Robert Englund return as Freddy Krueger, yes. And Heather Langenkamp returning as Nancy Thompson. And it will be set in the present day, and it will be just like what they're doing with the new Halloween coming out this year, like a one last final, you know, going out on a high note, one final showdown between Nancy and the madman Freddy Krueger. I would love it. I think the fans would go nuts. And let's end on a high note, because certainly the remake was not ending on a high note. It was unworthy, in my opinion. So that's my thoughts on that. Next one, number 8, is reenact your favorite line from the franchise. So this one I almost picked as my favorite kill, but I think the line is what really gets it, you know. And it's that scene where the girl is working out, and Freddy comes up and puts the bar down on her, and you see her arms crunch down, and like arms come out of her arm, and like her human arms fall out, and you see that she's like turning into a monster or something. Obviously she's dreaming, but she actually turns into a roach, like a giant roach. And then you can see she looks out into the room, and then it turns out she's in a roach motel. And then Freddy says the classic line, you can check in, but you can't check out. And he squashes the box, and you see the slime come out. It's so awesome. I love that scene. It's easily the best scene in Nightmare on Elm Street 4, the Dream Master. I love it. Of course, Freddy has chock full of great lines throughout the franchise, but that's my personal favorite. So next up, that's it for the tag this week, the Freddy Krueger Tag. And I'm going to tag some people. I'm going to tag a whole bunch of people, including a couple I've never tagged before, and that's Lyndsay's Geeked Out Knickknacks, Miser Monty G, HorrorMetal, TheHorrorMan, Lisa Loves, Rusting Willpower, Dave Maggot, Boogeyman Ben, Random Horror, Movie Massacre, Andrew Ballina, and HorrorGal. So guys, get on it. I want to see your thoughts on the Elm Street franchise. You've got the body and I've got the brains. Ha! Tune in and stay scared.